The dynamic trio currently weaves their way through the busy food market bizarre hybrid. Kiri once again leading the way, with Frederick following. The crafty Karowan has already snatched a great deal at a little stall that sold various meats a few minutes ago, and is happily carrying a little bag with said choice cuts of nice and fatty meat in one of her lower paws. Meanwhile, Frederick is wearing his somewhat bulky, but thankfully mostly empty backpack on the front, as he gives Bubbles a piggyback ride. The young beast quickly got overwhelmed by the masses of strangers throwing around them, and the fact that most of them absolutely tower over her also did not help her uneasiness at all. She quickly communicated this to Frederick with a few bumps and mules, and he offered her a ride in response, carrying her on his back without complaint ever since. He simply cannot complain about his little murder kitten, when she happily squeaks along as she does right now, seeming to have an absolute blast. "You're really enjoying this, aren't you?" he asks, her head right beside his. She beams at his question, and makes another delighted squeal in response. "Well, glad you're better now," he responds, shifting her a bit to free her hand and ruffle the fur on her neck. A cheeky lick over the entire side of his face tells him that she feels the same. "Ew, gross." "Rah!" she burbles happily, the equivalent of a satisfied grin on her face. Kiri turns around briefly, one ear already listening in on the two of them, snorting at the expression on his slobber-coated face, and her own features twist in a poorly concealed grin. "You look great," she lies, not very convincing. "Pfft, I think I got some in my mouth," he grumbles. A while later, the three of them are relaxing off to the side, watching the busy market-goers from the sidelines. Frederick and Kiri are both sitting on a few waist-height metal crates, and Bubbles is dozing on the floor, purring as she leans against Frederick's legs. "Can you show things? I want to see if everything good," Kiri asks him, pointing over at the backpack resting next to him. "Sure, here," he complies in English. She receives it from him, opens it, and goes through everything again, probably following a mental checklist as her ears twitch in excitement. She managed to land some great deals for a bit of haggling and trading here and there, although he is not so sure Bubbles' presence wasn't a part of her success, and Frederick's backpack is now filled with tons of different roots, veggies, fruit, and mouth-watering pieces of meat. As she makes sure that she did not forget anything, and digs through the contents of the bag, Kiri's attention is drawn to a set of light footsteps coming their way. She looks up at Frederick, and he does not seem to have noticed them yet, fondly looking at the blood-beast pup resting at his paws, or as he calls them, feet, instead. So she turns towards the approaching footsteps and quickly spots a female. Yes, definitely female Leerdan. Her people are mammals, just like herself and the rest of the group, and if she remembers correctly, they are semi-aquatic with a mostly nomadic lifestyle. This Leerdan is roughly the same size as Frederick, and seems to have two pups with her, holding paws, with the one energetically following along, and carrying the other one in a sling around her chest. This one also seems to still be a little cub, by the looks of it. Noticing Kiri looking at her, the stranger does her best to wave a greeting, while the older pup tugs at her paw impatiently. "Greetings," Kiri greets her, also grabbing Frederick's attention. "Greetings," the Leerdan woman replies. "Is it okay if I take a short rest here? My little one is hungry again, and Nirmer is getting tired." "Holy shit, mink people," Frederick mutters under his breath, using English again. Kiri tries to ignore his comment, a small part of which she understands, and gestures for the Leerdan mother to take a seat. "We don't mind. Stay as long as you want to," Kiri assures her. The woman's tension eases at her words, and plops down on a metal crate, a pace or two from her. "Thank you. My name is Nerda, by the way. I normally would give you a proper greeting, but..." She shrugs and nods at the cub. "Ah, no problem." Kiri waves her upper paws dismissively, introducing herself and Frederick afterwards. "I'm Kersar, and that's Frederick. Oh, and that sleeping pup is Bubbles." "Greeting." Frederick joins in as well. Oh, hello to you too, young one, Neda responds in kind, talking to him as if he was a child. He tries to protest, thinking that he might have misunderstood, but is quickly cut off. You don't know how relieved I was when I spotted these crates here, Neda starts. They always say the first one is the most challenging, but with near it hasn't felt easier at all, she laughs, gently bobbing the cub up and down. Kiri sympathizes with the poor woman and gives her an understanding look. You know what I mean, right? She asks Kiri, motioning to Frederick. Looking after young is always quite the task. What? He thinks out loud in his native tongue, increasingly confused. Kiri trills, amused, finally unable to hold back her laughter. Oh, no, he isn't a young. I know he looks like one, but he very much is an adult, she explains, pointing at Bubbles. He even has a pup. Neda is shocked at the revelation. Oh, I am so sorry. I did not mean to insult you in any way. I simply never had the pleasure of meeting your people before, she apologizes to him. Frederick understands only a few words of what she said, but based on her body language and the flow of the conversation, she seems to be apologizing to him. Not bad thing. He hastily pieces the sentence together. Oh. Neda leans closer to Kiri. Does he not speak universal? No, not really. We found him on a scrapping mission, stowed away on a recent wreck. Kiri half lies. He didn't speak uni at first, but he is a fast learner. The Leerdan gasps in shock and looks at him with new eyes. Oh my, poor thing. Any others of the crew survive? Kiri shakes her head, ears drooping a bit. None that we know of, no. He is the only survivor, as far as we know. Neda leans away from her and over to him, addressing him directly. That must have been horrible. You have my sympathies. Frederick feels a bit put on the spot and pleadingly looks at Kiri. She feel bad for you and share pain. Arrive here, not happy thing for you. The gears in his head turn for a moment, and he quickly pieces together what they must have been talking about. Please you. No, wait, he mutters in English. Thank you, he corrects himself. Neda gives him the equivalent of a motherly smile and turns to our older pup, as the little one has been tugging on her arm for a few moments already. Excuse me for a moment. What is it, my little? She leans in and whispers. A short conversation following. Thank you. Translate. She talked very fast. He stage whispers to Kiri. Please you. Kiri teasingly bumps Frederick in his side. He takes it in stride, and laughs at himself a bit. Thing happen. Language new. He shrugs, side-glancing at Neda as she whispers with her pup. Kiri briefly puts a reassuring hand on his shoulder. True, you are very good, speaking much already, she adds honestly. Have good learn person, he smiles, Kiri grinning back. Excuse me, Kirsar? Neda suddenly chimes in. Yes? Kiri pulls her hand away from him and turns to face her. Farley, my little one here, is very curious about the pup and would like to know if he could play with them for a bit. Wait a moment, I'll ask him about it. Thank you. Hey, Frederick? Yup. She want know if Farley, she motions to the young boy, can do thing with Bublas. He muses, mulling it over. He ever so slightly moves his leg, gently nudging Bubbles to get her attention. To his surprise, the young beast has already woken from her short nap. Hey, sweetie, that kid over there either wants to pet you, or he would like to play with you for a bit. Not so sure about that. You okay with that, or should I tell them no? It's all up to you, and if you don't want to, just say so. No one's going to be angry at you. Bubbles thinks in it for a moment and hesitantly nods her head. Are you sure? You don't have to say yes if you don't want to. Rah, she replies, this time more confident. Okay, I'll tell them then. She says yes, but I ask be careful. New people not normal, new thing. Farley, the young mink person, cheers now that he got the go-ahead, and eagerly approaches Bubbles. The two of them share a few looks, and soon enough the young Leerdan is standing in front of Bubbles and Frederick, one cute little paw resting on top of her shoulder. As Frederick watches over the exchange, Kiri gets pulled to the side by Neda again, the mother clearly taken aback.
She understands speech?
She does, but she also is no ordinary blood beast, Kiri lies. We found her with him in the wreck, and he told us she comes from his home world. A bit like us Kiroans and the Ralkir, I guess. That's why we also think that the two of them must be from some kind of dark world, or something like that.
Incredible. Does that mean...
Things go on like that for a while. Kiri answers a few more questions from Nirda, but carefully steers the conversation away from him and Bubbles, to life on the station instead. Frederick keeps watching over the kid, as it interacts with his little one, and thankfully does not have to intervene at any point, as the two of them seem to get along nicely. After a while, the kids have finished playing and Farley returns to his mother, who has been nursing her cub in the meantime. Frederick tries to apologise as he accidentally catches a glimpse, but soon enough realises that it really is no problem. Soon after, Nirda and her son say their goodbyes and leave, walking paw in paw. She really has her nips down on her stomach. Super weird.
Phew, that was something, Kiri deflates.
You okay? He asks her amusedly. I think I learned a new thing today, he chuckles.
No?
She almost pleads with him.
I never think before that one person, can say so many words in so little time.
Oh, he laughs sympathetically. She is a chatterbox, as we say.
Chatterbox?
She tries tiredly. Pretty good, little more hard. Chatterbox. He gives her a thumbs up. Word mean talk much container, he explains, smiling.
Chatterbox, she tries again. That good?
She asks him hopefully. Perfect.
Yay!
She wiggles happily in place, springing on her feet.
English hard to say for me sometime. Cannot say air like you. Brook fast. Bubblers. It's hard.
You good. No worry. He disagrees, not looking at her as he gets up from his crate.
Really?
Yup.
Happy to hear that. Want to go more or go home? She inquires.
I'm okay to go more, he casually replies. Sweetie, you up for more? We can go piggyback again if you want to.
Nah. I think I know what she say this time, Kiri says with a trill.
And so the three set out to continue their foray through the markets. As they are about to enter the crowd again, Frederick whispers something to her sleepy Bubbles, her head resting on his shoulder. Real proud of you, sweetie. You did great with that kid.
Happy,
Bubbles replies, already half asleep. Yeah, you go grab some sleep now. I'll tell you when we get back home. Sleep tight, he tells her, giving her a good night smooch. The young beast softly purrs in response, falling asleep shortly after. Carrying a sleeping Bubbles on his back, Frederick visits a few more places with Kiri to buy him some sundries and to give her Bubbles, something she absolutely insists on. Standing in front of her fabric and clothing stall, she turns to him.
So, Bubbler's bandana,
she starts, deciding to make it quick and painless,
is decency covering.
What?
Not for wear on top, is for wear down. Under,
she whispers as she points down at herself. Oh, you mean underwear? He responds. Oh! He finally understands what she just meant, and Kiri gets to see human skin change colour for the first time. They quickly wrap up their business there, and start to make their way back to the Kirkir. Along the way, she keeps thinking back to some of Nirda's many questions, realising that she does not really know the answers to most of them herself.